So, Mark, did you see that video of that swanky New York City hotel room? Only $89 a night. Looks great. The ceiling is made out of lattice. It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, it's like they turned an old office space into like these little, I don't know, like like what you normally pay by the hour to go into or something, like some weird place. But yeah, $89 is hard to beat in Manhattan, but would you do it?
I mean, it makes me kind of sad. A few years ago, during like the height of the pandemic and stuff, I stayed in really nice Hyatts for a little over $100 a night. So, I mean, I would back in the day, but 89 seems steep for me.
Hey, in this one, you get to share bathrooms and showers. What's not to like about that?
Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I remember a couple months ago when I went to Salt Lake City, I came on the show and just complained about how much the walk is to the new terminals there, how they made the airport less walkable and worse overall. And there's this article about the longest and shortest walking airports. Not a surprise, DFW, the ones that they built into these giant cities like Denver and DFW, they're the worst.
Yeah, Denver is like the worst designed airport maybe in the world. I know I say that having not been to even close to like a lot of them, but it's just so stupid. And like they can't even put the terminals in proper order of lettering on the train. It goes like ABE or some crap like that. The check bags, you just randomly, there's check bag things randomly as you walk through a terminal. It's not all in one place. And it takes a while to get it around. And that's why, several months ago, we talked about signing up for the Capital One lounge access, like as soon as you land, because by the time you get there, it'll be 30 minutes and you'll get in.
Yeah, that Capital One lounge thing is confusing, though, because when you go in the app, if there isn't a wait, it doesn't give you that. So you're just like searching around. You're like, where was I supposed to go on the wait list? Until you realize that it doesn't show up unless they have a wait list. But yeah, I mean, Orlando Airport's on there. Dallas, I mean, I was just there last week and we were staying at the Hyatt Regency, which is near Terminal C, and we actually flew into Terminal C, and I was like, it's like the first time that's ever happened to me where I flew into the same terminal. You got to get on that train, and it's like a 45-minute ride to go anywhere. But yeah, on the shortest side, Lahui, number 4, Kauai, another reason that Hawaii is better than the Bahamas.
I mean, if Bahamas was on the list, it would be number 1 because there's like no walking there.
Yeah, it's true. It is nice though to have these little airports where you go through security and you're right at the gate.
I don't think it's like super fair to put those on the shortest. It should be like they should have broken it down by like mega airports and then small or whatever, because they're just naturally going to be tighter together. But yeah, Denver's another one. Worst TSA probably in the U.S. They're bad. They got this list pretty accurate, I think.
Vegas airport, that's the way to go. I love it. Just a shout out to my hometown airport. Southwest is a big airline at the airport. We haven't talked about Southwest. It was like every show was Southwest. Yeah, last week somehow managed between all the shows not to talk about it, but here we are with their new pricing, and we're starting to see some of the pricing going forward with what we're going to find under this new scheme. And it used to be that the price in points was based on the airline ticket, and you could have these weird numbers that would end in like a 29 or a 31 or whatever it was for the number of points. But the first thing that you noticed, and shout out to Leslie from Trip with Tykes, you worked with her kind of analyzing all of this data, that everything is ending in a round number now. So they're like, I'm guessing rounding up.
Yeah, and that would be my guess. And it looks all like the legacy carriers. I mean, anywhere else you go, like Delta or whatever, they usually have like 500 or 1,000. It goes in those chunks, but it almost feels like they're trying to do a fare bucket now, is what we noticed. We went through like hundreds of flights, and it doesn't directly correlate. Depends if there's like only a couple seats left or whatnot, but it was like 180 was, let's say, 11,000 points. Then 185 was still 11,000 points, and 190 was still 11,000 points. And then when you went up to like 195, it would go up like 500. So I think if they're going to do that, like buckets, if you can get towards the top end of that, you're going to get a better value. But that would make sense if they're like, okay, 180 would have been 10,550 points, but we're just going to round it up to 11,000. And then, it's still falling in the range. So I think that the fact that they're rounding to the nearest 500 is going to create these buckets on their own kind of. But yeah, we noticed, normally you were getting 1.3 to 1.5 cents per point, and it was directly tied to the cash price. Now it's dropping down really close to 1 cent, and you find some outlandish ones that are like 1.7, but it's, fully dynamic now all over the place.
Yeah, which makes it harder to plan. And when you're earning the points to say, okay, I'm going to get this value. And I think in your article, you kind of pegged it at 1.2 would be sort of
Yeah.
the average that you're seeing, and which is a downgrade from what we were seeing before. Let's say on average 1.3, 1.4. Not a surprise that they would lower the overall value. It's just another reason that they've made this program or overly complicated. This is one of the first airline, if not the first airline program to go, revenue based. Your price in miles was based on the price of the ticket. There was no need for all of this, but they're squeezing the pennies, and we'll see how that turns out with all these Wall Street driven changes. But yeah. I have nothing positive to say about this airline at this point.
Yeah, what we noticed is the schedule that's been out for a while. Like in the next couple of months, you're probably going to get a little bit better value. The further out you go, the closer to 1.2 cents average. We see Hawaii was completely destroyed, which I think, we've seen articles where they aren't making money or weren't making as much money as they thought they would on Hawaii. That's all below 1.2 cents, everything I search. And then international is kind of where the good stuff is. I found like upwards of 1.6, 1.7. You can get 1.4, 1.5. So I would book international flights to the Caribbean, to Mexico, stuff like that. If you can find them with your Rapid Rewards now, burn them while you can. I'm sure that's going to change at some point. The one positive that did come out is on the bags. We didn't know how that would work with if you have other people on your itinerary that you book for. If you get a free bag or 2 free bags, that will go towards 8 people. And then the stupidest thing I've ever heard is if you have a companion pass, you have access to free bags. Your companion gets free bags, but they have to pay for it. And then it's immediately refunded to that form of payment. Is that the most Southwest terrible IT thing you've ever heard?
Yeah, exactly. They're just, they have so many tech problems, and this is one where they ran into, at least they figured out the tech to get you refunded, because they're saying it'll just automatically happen.
They're saying.
Yeah, it's one of the most obscure things. Just trust me, pay for it, and we will give you your money back. Yeah, just a lot of growing changes here. Great breakdown. We'll put a link in the description. You guys can dive into the article that Mark wrote along with Leslie on all of that. But we do need to talk about United. So United and Chase just basically upended all of their credit cards and relaunched.
I hate them
all
so
of them.
much.
Yeah.
For doing this while I was on vacation. It was worse.
And Mark and I have both sat down and we've really tried to digest this information, but there's so many changes that we're just going to kind of highlight some of the bigger ones. We'll start with this. All the annual fees went up.
Yeah, they all went up, and we're going to talk about coupon book credits in a second. So it correlates. It makes sense. It's very much the Amex playbook, which I hate to see, because then it's worried, like, is this going to come to other Chase cards? Is this the future of them? We all complain about the platinum and the golds and how we have all these credits and increased annual fees every year. And we should also say all the offers are higher too right now. So that's the one good takeaway, I guess.
Yeah, and the Explorer card still has a waived annual fee the first year for its welcome offers. So there's definitely some maybe value in picking up these miles. But basically they went to this, like you say, coupon book and instituted a variety of credits, including like Jet Suite X credit. You now get like a travel bank credit for different car rentals. If you go through Avis or Budget, you get a ride hailing credit, Instacart credit. A lot of these, and they're small amounts monthly, driven. Like I said, we've both gone over all of this, and we've both been trying to figure out how to explain all these changes. It's costing you more. There are some, you can earn more PQPs, so you have the ability to spend towards status a little bit more where they cap you out there, but they've just made it significantly harder to get the value, raise the prices. And I don't think any of us really need these $5 Instacart credits, use the luxury hotel collection to get this credit here, get travel bank after this, the Jet Suite X credit. I guess that could be good.
I don't know what the prices are there, but they give you Instacart plus too, and depending on the card, it could be up to a year, it could be a couple months, all that stuff. So if you pair those two up, maybe you save money. I think if you use the credits, you come out ahead on the annual fees, similar to Amex. And when they do that, it's just annoying that if you never used Instacart, now you might have to, or another rideshare credit. It's like, come on, I'm tired of this. So it's tough. I will say, like, them switching from now you get a travel bank credit with like the Quest card. I think it's $200 a year. So, that makes it a bit better. It's going right into your bank. It should be easy to use. That offsets some of the annual fee costs versus like having to jump through some hoops to get a credit on your card. Yeah, you need like an advanced degree to figure out, all the value of these. I still think the business card is the best of all the bunch, has the best offer at 125,000 United miles. So I think that's still the best long-term card and the best sign-up bonus. It doesn't count towards your 524. You do have to be under it to get it, but I think that's the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, I think, the Explorer card being at 80K with no upfront annual fee, obviously it's 524, but for people, Chase Business can be difficult to get approved with.
Yeah.
And has a whole different set of considerations. I like that. It doesn't require the upfront fee, but the fact is there's 4 cards. They all have varying different levels of these benefits, and it's very difficult to put it out there. But if you are looking for this, if you are in the market, these points can be valuable. And like Mark said, you are in a window now where they have increased offers. So this is probably the time to look at them.
Yeah, the cool thing about the Explorer card is if you get it the first year, no annual fee, and then at the end of the first year, you're like, you know what, this isn't worth the annual fee. I'm going to downgrade it to the no fee card. You're not supposed to still get award access, but you have in the past.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention that it was very specifically said that it won't get access anymore under these new changes, where it wasn't clear whether you were supposed to or not. But that is a benefit of these cards, whether you get it with the no annual fee card. We've said it before, you really do get access to enhanced award space. That's significantly more than if you don't have these cards. So that is a benefit worth considering.
Yeah, especially if you're a United Hub captive and you fly them quite often. Like I know Delta, as a Delta Hub captive, getting the 15% off Sky Miles awards does come in mighty handy at times. So that's a reason that I would probably keep a card long term and pay the $95 annual fee here. Where United isn't as useful to me, so the extra award space isn't as big of a deal. But if I lived, in Newark, or flew out of Newark a lot and stuff like that, that would be something I would definitely consider.
So the biggest credit card everybody talks about, that's Chase Sapphire Preferred, and we've talked about it a lot on this show in the past. Well, currently there is a 100,000 point offer if you go in branch, and that's after 5,000 in spend. But the rumors, the Redditors, they're going crazy saying that April 3rd, it's going to go online, potentially April 8th for referrals. This is all sort of rumor and speculation, but it could be on the radar. Not everybody wants to go in branch, so this might be rolling out widely. And then if it goes to referrals, that could help people earn some more points too.
Yeah, and we've seen lately, sometimes they don't have it go out to referrals at all. So we'll have to wait and see on that. I know a couple times over the last year, the offer never updated on the referral offers. And at times, the referral offer is better. It's just like kind of all over the place. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm expecting it to come online at some point. Usually the credit card companies dump stuff on Thursday. That was another thing that was unique about United. They did it on a Monday, and almost nobody ever does it outside of a Thursday. So this kind of lines up well. The other rumor we've heard, kind of whispered, and I don't know if anybody's noticed this in branch, or maybe the terms aren't displayed. That's one of the negatives about going in branch. Takes more time. You don't see the terms. Sometimes the banker messes up things, and it's just quicker and easier to do it online. But there was rumors of maybe this being like only available to the 100K offer, only being available to people that have never had the card before, even if you are outside the 48 months. So we'll have to see. I'm very interested when that drops to see if that's in there or not.
Obviously very valuable if you're eligible and all of that stuff. So keep an eye out on that. This next thing is like a perfect hack. Some of these cards now have credits that people have been using for Hilton gift cards. Some of the American Express cards do, and people were stacking up different Hilton gift cards. And you've talked on the show about how they don't work in a lot of places. They can't figure out how to do it, or they're just having other problems. And somebody on top, and you updated your article with this, said that they were able to contact Hilton after a hotel wasn't able to use the gift cards and they got declined. And then Hilton basically cut them a check for the gift cards. And so I feel like the strategy here is just to accumulate a ton of these, go to a hotel it won't work, and then you'll get it all refunded to you in cash. If only that was that easy.
Yeah, the problem is they're still out of stock. I mean, who is out of stock of gift cards in 2025? They've been out of stock since like December, I think, of last year. And, 4 months later, it doesn't take that much to print these. I think they're trying to work through the issues, or they know there's a problem. And these are issued by American Express. So I don't know if technically he got it back from American Express or from Hilton, either or, but you call the number on the back of the card. But he did say, make sure they're swiped. They can see that it was declined. And it took, several weeks, but he did get a check in the mail for the value of them. Other people have said if you add it to The Apple Wallet, because it works kind of like a credit card. You can add it in there. They work better. Still sometimes have defaults. Sometimes it depends on the year. I think like 2031 works, 2033 expiration doesn't work. It's all over the place. It's a mess. I've never seen anything like this with gift cards. If you are sitting on them, there's still hope if you're willing to put in a little work.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a mess, and you have to wonder. I think they probably have it shut down just because of all the headaches, and they're, like you said, trying to figure this out. The system's way more complicated than it should be, and there's companies that can help them. I don't know, but
go to a real gift card issuer, not American Express. Done. Easy.
There you go. So this next story is actually interesting because Hyatt is running this casino promotion where you can earn 777 bonus points for each night at a casino resort over the next couple of months. And I think it's interesting to kind of look at the list of hotels, and we kind of know a lot of these ones, but it kind of opens your eyes to how many casino resorts they have.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting 20. Like, I was like, oh, we're going to write a thing about like 10 properties. And then you see the list and there's 20. You're like, oh, okay. And a lot of them, I think, came online when they bought the all-inclusives, because a lot of all-inclusive, or a lot of the Caribbean islands, have hotel resorts that have casinos, just like Baja Mar, which we talked about in depth on Monday. And of course, this came out, right after I was there, and I would have got like 3,000 extra bonus points because it does work on award stays, which is cool. That's the one thing I love about Hyatt promos, is they almost always work on award stays, which is nice, where most places don't.
Yeah, and just to kind of refresh people, you have Rio, Venetian, and Palazzo in Las Vegas. Obviously, Grand Hyatt Baja Mar. You have the Andaz and the Grand Hyatts in Macau. You also have like the Resorts World at JFK. That's a casino resort that counts under that.
Do you want to stay there?
I do want to stay there. It looks cool. That's actually been a hotel that I almost stayed there once and it didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, the Hyatt Regency in Manila, City of Dreams, I've been there. That's a very interesting property. Another one of those grand mega resorts. So tons of them. And I mean, I don't know. The most interesting thing, I'm not worried about the bonus points, was just opening my up that there's 20 of them and that I've been to a fair number, which was kind of surprising.
Yeah, I think it's a fun little thing to highlight their casino properties, which, nobody's ever really done before. So I thought it was unique and something different. And I know a lot of people are going to Baja Mar in particular over the next couple months, so should be helpful.
You're a trendsetter. They saw you were going, and then everybody booked their trips to follow.
I don't know about that,
Mark down to Baja Mar. So being a trendsetter, a lot of people in this space, $10,000 in annual fees, like they just have crazy amounts of annual fees. And Ben Gold wrote this article about his insane amounts of annual fees on travel on points. And a lot of them, it's a big headline. I have $10,000 in annual fees. But when you go into it, I think that you see the case that a lot of people, you have a few $1,000s in fees for cards that are strategic, that you're getting your value. And then you have a lot of Amex no lifetime language offers kind of ballooning up that number.
Yeah. I mean, I think mine was like 7,000 or 8,000 last year, or in 2023. In 2024, I was like around 5,400. I cut out quite a bit of the Amex. But yeah, if you're signing up for Biz Platinums, if you keep getting targeted, and for a while people were getting them like every 3 months, that's several $1,000s. The Amex Golds, you're looking several $100s each. And if you get a couple of those, and then you have a personal platinum, yeah, it's all Amex driven for the most part. And then, like you said, you have your everyday users, your long-term keepers. But I just want to point out, people see this and they're like, oh, I'd never spend that much money. Well, I'm sure that he made $50,000 or $60,000 in travel and cashback and all that off of these things because of welcome offers and everything. Every single card, almost every single, besides like those weird black cards that are worthless, almost every single card is worth it in the first year with the welcome offer and then the perks you get or the credits and all of that. Sometimes the annual fees waived the first year. So it's a great time to sign up for one, try it out for a year, get the bonus points, see if it's worth it. Always wait 12 months, then decide. Some you might think that you don't want to keep. And then at the end of 12 months, you're like, you know what? This one's worth it. And other ones, going in, like a Hyatt card that gives you a free night cert for $100, like you're going to get way more value than that out of it. So you're going to keep that long term. Same with like an IHG card, stuff like that. So there are some that other ones you might not, but then you do. It just all depends on how you use them.
And you can offset the fees in different ways, like not always the best value, but some people absolutely don't want to pay cash for anything. So they'll cash in points to offset what their costs are. Like I said, that's not always the best thing. And Ben mentions that here. But yeah, it's just a matter of kind of being able to see the big picture and seeing it. There's no tax advice here, but depending on what you do for a living, some of these annual fees, you might be tax deductible, which is lowering your overall cost to kind of see the benefits, especially if it's a card where you can get back the value. And then, you know, I will be on a counterpoint to all this is look at are the cards worth it? Sure, you have all these no lifetime language, you have all these credits. We talked about the United cards. Yeah, maybe you're getting the value or you're squeezing out the value, but is it worth it to you in the long run? And I think there's a lot of travel hackers that have cards they shouldn't, including myself. My annual fees are right in line with yours and his, and I would like to see that number go lower. So that's my goal for this year.
Yeah, you always got to reevaluate. Even if something made sense like a year ago, it might not now. You might have moved. You might not be traveling to the same places. You might not value status as much anymore. Stuff like that. So you always have to be reconsidering it. If you ever travel for work, you definitely want to take advantage of some of these. Like, you know, if you're using the Amex Biz, if you get to pay for your flights and stuff, if you're using the Amex Biz airline credit and the work reimburses you for the full thing, that's $200 that you got back, cash back, you know, by using that and stuff. So those are things that play into this. But yeah, you always got to be reevaluating. The easiest way to say this is when people are like, I'd never pay $700 annual fee for a card. And I said, would you give me $700 if I gave you $1,700 in cash? Well, yeah, duh. Am I dummy? Well, that's exactly what you can do with these cards.
I was trying to think. Never mind. A bad joke that couldn't come to mind. I'll leave that in. But let's move on to some cool go-karts. The Grand Prix experience in Las Vegas, the F1 Grand Prix experience is going to open. It was supposed to open this weekend, then they delayed it to May 2nd, but they still had their media preview. And what's cool about this is all the F1 memorabilia, but also that they have this go-kart track that actually uses part of the real race course.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it really unique if you're a big race fan. It looks cool at night too. But then you get, you know, the simulators, you get to test your stuff. If you're really big into racing, F1 or otherwise, I think you'll really enjoy this. Prices aren't cheap. What is it, like around $100, something like that per person to do the full experience? There's varying levels of it. But I think it's something pretty cool to do when you're in Vegas and, you know, good use of that building the rest of the year since it's only used like one weekend a year.
And as a reminder, Mark and I host one of the biggest Vegas podcasts in the world, all the greatest information on Vegas, including spectacles like this. So I mean, how many people that watch this show don't know about MTF Vegas? I don't know, but yeah, check that out and let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about. Hyatt casinos, were you surprised to see that many of them on the list? The United changes, are you still trying to wrap your head around all of it like us? Everything else we discussed, 100K Chase Sapphire Preferred. You excited for that? Leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week. Monday, Mark talked all about Baja Mar, his entire trip, why he thinks it's a great experience for you to go. Make sure to check that out. And then this show on Wednesdays. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.